What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top side of the map in the red color, playing as Odin. His name is Shelty. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Hades. His name is TSM Player. Apologies for my raspy voice today. It is apparently flu season again. Apparently this year and in the past years, it's been flu season every other day. So we'll get through it, but better now than next week, because guess what? In a couple of days, to be specific, Tuesday the 6th, we will be releasing the bracket. There will be group stages. It's going to be a lot of team game, high-level team games coming at your way with really unique maps. You can pick literally any map in the pool. Basically, there's a couple that are banned, but not necessarily banned, but just aren't like good maps in general, so they aren't included. But for the majority of the maps that are in the Vubly Balance Patch 5.0 map pool, you can pick those. It's going to be a very exciting time, but we have another exciting time here, which is Odin versus Hades on Alfheim. Now, if I were to go ahead and say blindly the matchup here, I would say this matchup is somewhere between 50 and 60% in favor, 55 to 60% in favor of Odin. Now, the reason for this is there's just so many high hunt maps that Hades struggles in those maps. But if you then go onto a map like Alfheim, things get really difficult for the Odin player, depending on the type of Alfheim. Now, Alfheim can spawn a metric shit ton of hunt, and this is great hunted hunt, so it's not like it's a crazy amount. But Odin can have some issues on Alfheim. As you can take a look over here, he's got relatively far away from his base caribou, deer down here, caribou down here. All of the hunt is quite difficult to grab in the early stages of the game, so early aggression from Hades is kind of a must here in this matchup. So we'll see how it's all going to go and what Shelty's going to bring here. Now, more and more we are seeing Norse players being able to compete with the early game of Greek players. For example, you see like Norse like Loki or Thor players getting really fast advance times, utilizing things like chopping down wood at the start of the game, then jumping onto the hunt so that they don't have to gather more than the exact amount of wood that they need to get to the next age, allowing them to advance crazy fast, like 4 minutes into the game, or 3 minutes 45, 3 minutes 30. There's even a 3 minute 15 second ish advance time, which some crazy Norse players can execute. That's with hunting dogs as well, mind you. So let's remember that. So we'll see how things are all going to go. Now, if you're a Greek player and you're struggling with this matchup, one thing that I would suggest you start incorporating into your gameplay is the early advance times with Greek. If you can advance at the very latest 4:30 every single game on any single map, and you want to practice on the like kind of trash maps, like 2 zebra maps, you're going to have a lot more fun time against the Norse players than otherwise. The reason for this is, if you advance at 4:30, you can get a very definitively strong strike around about the 6 minute mark, where your opponent can't really handle that, and they're going to have to retreat back, and then you can find some pressure points after that in vital positions. So for example, if you were to hit this hunt around about 6 minutes in, or if your opponent's for some reason over here, or if they're over here, and you hit that, there's very little chance that a Norse player can defend that, because that's kind of where the timing hits. Now, if you advance even faster, you can then also, say you go for a 4 minute advance time, if you have a really good map, you can actually get an even better attack. So let's check out these relics while we see what's happening. We do see the early Ajax out for TSM player and a delayed advance time. No real surprises there. He doesn't like the fast advance times. But Pygmalion statue here, 40% extra villager hit points. A must-grab relic. This is probably my favorite relic in the game if I'm playing as a god not named Ra or Loki. And you might be able to guess which are my favorite relics for those two civilizations. Wedget Eye over here, negative 10% myth unit cost here, a decent relic to be sure. And it looks like the Ajax has picked up the Ship of Fingernails. This is a great relic as well. And we've also got the Osberg wagon up the top. There's my favorite Ra relic. If you got it, 10 points to you. As we do see the forest fire immediately being dropped on here. Now, here's something to think about. If your opponent advances really late, they're not going to be strapped for resources. So this forest fire doesn't do a whole lot against a 5-minute advance time. If they advance at 4 minutes or 4 minutes 30 seconds, then they're strapped for resources. Because TSM player right now, he can get himself the Chiron, he can drop himself the barracks and the archery range pretty much straight away here, or a stable, whatever he really wants to go for. He's going for the military academy. There's no real surprises there, as the Valkyrie does start shanking away at these villagers as they have to walk all the way back home. Plenty of cows in the base and some good chickens here as well, as we also see a second military academy coming up for TSM player. Now, this is all going to get scouted by Shelty, I'm sure. So we'll see if he's going to be able to react to the fact that a double military academy is getting dropped here. If we take a look at what he's building, he's actually built nothing just yet. He's getting his longhouses up, very delayed, but he's getting them up. He's put the pressure on. He's got walls up all over this top side of the map, trying to secure this hunt and not fall to that kind of 6 minute. Well, if you advance at 5 minutes, then the timing kind of doesn't exist. But trying not to fall to any sort of early pressure on this hunt, allowing him to eat all of that hunt. And that's going to be really, really nice for him. He gets a very, very big warning if his opponent is coming up here, and he can very easily retreat without losing any villages here, as we see all the walls coming up here for Shelty. As now Shelty getting another longhouse down, and Shelty doesn't care. He doesn't care that the hoplites counter his raiding cavalry. He's going, yep, let's start with raiding cavalry. Now, the question here is that I want to pose is, what exactly are the raiding cavalry for? Now, the raiding cavalry, while it does say so in their name, they are for raiding, but what really can you attack in your opponent's position? If we take a good look at what Shelty can see, Shelty sees this wood line here. He sees that's exposed. He sees these berries here. He sees that's exposed. He sees this gold mine here that's going to be very tough to attack with the houses and the military buildings coming up. The chickens over here are exposed. So everything is in the one location here that Shelty can attack. So building raiding cavalry with the idea of attacking this is really good to start off with, but then he's going to have to go into more of a safe play moving on from this, which I think is going to have to be a second town center, as it looks like that's exactly what Shelty is gearing up for. Now, whether or not this middle town center is the best or not remains to be seen, as the raiding cavalry are going to be coming through here. The villagers immediately retreating back. It's very rare for raiding cavalry to pick any villages at this point, just causing a little bit of chaos here. The sentinels are here. The villagers turn around and start shanking. They're super strong. Nice marker there from Shelty, but his raiding cavalry do get a little bit stopped there. Now, good thing for Odin is Odin gets to regeneration on his raiding cavalry. So you can see it in motion right now, already coming back up 33, 34, and now those early walls playing a really, really nice role here. Shelty sees 83 food left. He's like, all right, no worries. Just going to leave. No problems here. He's going to hide his villagers. Will TSM player spot this? TSM player has spotted the villager, but did he actually spot it or not is the big question. His hoplites searching over here for stuff. His Katoskopos over here, he doesn't see the villagers anywhere. The villagers have hidden in this top corner of the map, as Shelty goes, I'm so scared right now where to go, and is he going to be spotted in this top corner or not, as TSM player is sitting here with his units being very, very angry as the Taskabot comes in and he doesn't see the villagers. The villagers are just barely out of line of sight. Shelty, stay, Shelty, stay, wait for everything to leave. Bring the Taskabot leaves. The villagers are safe. Shelty is next level hidden with those units. He's got the villagers still alive. And Shelty lives another day. Somehow, some way, Shelty managed to survive that without losing a single villager. TSM player's going to watch this one back, shake his head, and just go, how did I fall for that? In 2022, how did I fall for that cheeky technique? Shelty, the snake Shelton. He is... He's a scoundrel, that is for sure. Not only that, Shelty's now dropped his second town center. He's motoring ahead. He's on this gold mine. He's happy about that one. He's going to move his dwarves onto the berry bushes. Why not? And TSM player might not ever move back up and check that gold mine there. That's safe villages for the rest of the game. That's safe villages for the rest of the game. as Shelty comes over. He's got his raiding cavalry. This is not a fight he wants to take right now. The hoplites are out. These are very, very strong right now. And TSM player, he's thinking it's 9 minutes 30 into the game. You're going for your second gold mine now, right? You're going to have to be at this gold mine or this gold mine or this gold mine or this gold mine or this. No. Shelty's at this gold mine. TSM player has been absolutely mind gamed in this game, and Shelty is taking max advantage out of it. The throwing axemen are here, but they're getting caught out of position here, as TSM player is going to be more than happy with taking this fight. He's got himself medium hoplite and medium toxotes, as the raiding cavalry are trying to hit a raid over here. They don't get any villager kills. They don't lose any units, but Shelty will need to get back here and defend this at some point. Now, while these aren't necessarily Zeus hoplites, 18 hoplites of Hades or Poseidon can definitely take down a town center relatively quickly. You have to imagine what 9 Zeus hoplites looks like, and that's what 18 Hades hoplites looks like. And you can definitely see town centers falling where that's concerned, as the hoplites over here are getting picked off. Shelty ready to advance to the next stage. The cleanest Odin you're going to see here. 11 minute 30, 11 minute 40 heroic age. Not lost a single villager. 115 of 130 population. Perfect unit composition against his opponent's army with the hoplite toxotes out. He's gotten throwing axemen, raiding cavalry. TSM player, on the other hand, he's going to be scratching his head. What does he do? He is so far behind the 8 ball right now. He is full units, kind of stuck in the classical age, stuck on one town center, has to farm here, hasn't been able to eat these caribou or these deer in this game. And therefore, his heroic age is going to be super delayed here. Taking this fight, though, imagine forest fire. Shelty does not need to do this. All Shelty needs to do is wait for frost, and then he can just frost that army, kill that army, and then take the advantage all the way to the bank in the Mythic Age through tier. But right now, he's actually allowed the hoplites to get in onto the throwing axemen. While throwing axemen do technically beat the hoplites, they don't do enough damage to actually beat them all by themselves. They need the range advantage. If you take a quick pause here, 175% bonus damage against hoplites. They've got 65 HP. They're doing roughly 12-ish damage per second against the hoplites. The hoplites still 8.8 with nearly double the HP. Therefore, if hoplites are on top of the throwing action, it's roughly equal trades. And now the hoplites feel very scary. Nice micro by TSM player, though. Fully aware of exactly how his hoplites function in this fight. As now we see the restoration coming in. The throwing axemen needs to start thinking about retreating back. But Shelty's 115 of 130 population. TSM player is 95 of 115 population. And the way forward for TSM player might be to get more of these Minotaur. But the more he fights against Shelty here, the further Shelty is going to get ahead, because he's going to be able to make Frost Giants. And Frost Giants can clean everything. So TSM player is going to have to retreat back. And now we see the raid finally finding these villages. Now, the villagers actually could have hidden up here as well. They could have been in multiple different places where those villagers could have been. But Shelty still hasn't worked this out. He's going to lose maybe 1 or 2 villagers. It's not going to matter. He's even going to retreat completely fine here. We see the frost getting dropped onto this position as medium infantry comes through. Shelty here, he's finishing up on these chickens. He needs to get a whole bunch of wood here and get into farms as soon as he possibly can. He does have some hunt over here that he could potentially think about grabbing, but Shelty just using the frost to buy himself some time here, and we'll see how it all goes right now, as throwing axemen coming over here to defend. The villagers going to walk back, start shanking just a little bit to clean these units up, as the micro in these fights is substantial. This is this very important fight that needs to happen here, but looks like the villagers slowly going to be able to take down these Hades shades, as Shelty a little bit distracted here. Units coming out, going to be looking for the raid over here. These throwing axemen will want to finish this wall back up and make this base much more safe, or make these villages much more safe as the throwing axemen come through. We see the Hades shade going to fall. More units coming in. We see TSM player returning back up onto this position here, but TSM player now down to 96 of 115 population. Lots of villages. Hasn't really lost any villages in this game. However, 2 town centers for Shelty is a big deal, as the farms are going to slowly start getting thrown down. I mean, in classic Shelty fashion, Shelty is probably going to move forward and try and grab this hunt. That would be classic Shelty. He knows it's there. Shelty's the kind of player that would go for that, but it depends on what kind of how much risk you really want to take. As the throwing axeman coming over here, this is going to give TSM player a little bit of time here in this matchup to make something happen. As we see this third town center getting thrown up right in the face of TSM player. He's not going to be happy about that one. If I was Shelty, I would be throwing down hill forts en masse to start making Huskal to deal with these Toxotes that are coming out here, because Huskal throwing axemen against a classical age army of Greek just there's no counter. There's no counter to that army. The Huskal destroy the Toxotes, the throwing axemen destroy the hoplites, and it's just a tough time to be a Greek player on the classical age against that. As we do see the ox cart here getting targeted down, but will get cleaned up fairly fast here by these throwing axemen. As a TSM player says, not today. This town center is not for you. He's actually stopped production of villages for the time being here, as he's looking to grab this gold mine over here. How are his economic upgrades looking? He's got himself shaft mine, Pygmalion statue. It's all there. Shelty, on the other hand, he's got himself plow, hand axe, pickaxe. No really big upgrades here, but he definitely could be thinking about building those frost giants, which is what he's going to be doing here, as the villagers going to be making a break for it through this location. The wall takes a long time to go down against Toxotes here, as these throwing axemen chasing these units out of this location. There's plenty of gold mines over here for Shelty to grab, as we are going to be seeing the throwing axemen finally getting up the hill fort to deal with the Toxotes here, as now the villagers coming back, and TSM player, he's not going to get juked the second time, as the villagers retreating back. And maybe Shelty is going to do Shelty things yet again, but TSM player sees the villagers very, very clearly this time, as this hill fort almost coming up. But now the ox cart getting targeted down over here, as there's a handful of units coming in. We can see 3 frost giants against this one Ajax. This is going to be a very, very short-lived Ajax, and these frost giants are going to be huge, but the Chiron coming in to help out as well, as the villagers walk straight past the Toxotes, as TSM player gets hoodwinked yet again in this game. Shelty, absolutely hilarious here. We see some walls coming up on this position here by TSM players. He's trying to block off this gold mine, as these villagers are very much in a weird position. Now we're starting to see some Hippocon coming in to get some raids over here, as TSM player baits the units back into this position here. The Toxotes is going to be able to do some very, very nice damage against the throwing action here, but I imagine we're going to immediately start seeing Shelty making Huskal. But we've got Aphrodite on the way here for TSM player. We'll see if it's going to work out for him. He's going to have himself Nemean Lions. He's going to have himself a curse to relieve some pressure. He's getting himself a second town center, but he does have to worry about either Ragnarok or Fimbulwinter coming forward. He doesn't have that underworld that he would really like to have in this matchup. We are seeing these Hippocon hitting these villages over here. Like I said, Shelty loves eating his hunt. He's not. Don't let it go to waste. It's on the map. Let's eat that. Let's appease the gods by using the resources that they grant us every single game. It's his general approach to life, the universe, and everything. Are we seeing immediate irrigation? No immediate irrigation. The town center is just about up here, as the unit's fighting it out over here. But right now, this is going to be too much for TSM player to deal with. He needs to get out his Achilles. He needs to get out his Ajax again in order to deal with these units here. The Ajax is coming in. Those frost giants tanking tons of damage here. The curse gets dropped onto this position. That's absolutely huge. Hits a ton of throwing axe from there, as now Shelty has to retreat back. And while I would say at this point, Shelty might technically be in front on the economy, his army quality and his kill loss is definitely not in the same caliber of efficiency as TSM player. So TSM player is going to have to keep pushing the pressure here in order to find an advantage. Otherwise, Shelty's economy is going to carry him through here. As the unit's pushing forward, we've got the Huskal coming in. Immediately, we can start seeing TSM player start making a pacifists, because he's already gotten himself medium infantry. There's as opposed to when you go for cavalry, there's no delay for the like transition into pacifist. You can just go straight into them. You've already got medium infantry. You've already got the infrastructure set up as the villagers retreating back. Shelty here, he's got very few wood, a very few amount of wood in the bank, but 34 villagers on wood, as we are now starting to see those Hippaspis coming out. And if you're a Norse player and you've played a fair few games against Greek, you will know the bane of Norse's existence is the Hypaspist. Hypaspist essentially counters everything. They get soft countered by raiding cavalry, and throwing axemen with Huntress Axe can technically go toe-to-toe if you've got enough cavalry in front of them to kind of block the Hypaspist, as we are seeing this town center attempt to be grabbed here. And TSM player, he is so good at this. We saw this in a recent game that he played on Midgard, on a team game. He does this every single game. He gets in behind with a single villager and he walls in your opponent. He walls in his opponent every single game. This is his game plan. If you're in front, you've got to make the effort to get these walls up. If you're putting pressure on, you've got to make the effort to put these walls up, because they do so much damage to your opponent. What TSM player is doing here is effectively giving him access to a third town center, whereas Shelty is on this one. And if you take a look at Shelty's perspective, he knows that this wall's up, so he should realize that there's potentially a wall coming up over here. But he should be reacting to this kind of stuff going up right now, but he's not, and he's trying to figure out. Not only that, we see the walls over here. TSM players all over the map at this point. Now, the one saving grace that Norse has is Norse can make a battering ram. He's probably got the best, probably has the best siege weapon to deal with pesky walls, because it's just 125 wood, 125 gold to build, and it will kill the wall down very fast, as opposed to everyone else who has to invest a little bit more. It's a little bit slower. So the Bell of the Rams with the fastest melee siege in the game, so you can deal with it that way, but still very good. But we see the town center up now for Shelty. He's got fortified town centers. He's got his market up, ready to advance. We'll see which god he's wanting to go through. Ragnarok here, very, very risky. You can see how defensive TSM plays base is. He's got one little wall over here, very tough to break through. One wall over here. The walls are up over here. This is a fairly large service area with the forest here and the wall over here. It's still very tough. Shelty would probably have to walk through the bottom way of the base here to push through up through the top to actually allow his Ragnarok to do anything here. As we do see, these walls have been broken down. The units pushing through here for Shelty, as we see Shelty pulling back with his units, and he's going through tier. So no Ragnarok. The tier is going to hurt a lot here. You can see TSM player, he is struggling for resources in this game. He is trying to pump everything out as best as he can. He's got himself the medium infantry, or medium archers, medium infantry, heavy archers, medium infantry, heavy infantry should be coming through relatively soon for TSM player as he's moving forward, try and fight these units off. But I imagine Shelty is going to be able to push forward into the stratosphere now. He's got irrigation. He's got winter harvest. He's going to get heavy infantry really quickly. Excuse me. He's going to get heavy infantry really quickly and follow that up with champion infantry, I'm sure. As TSM player is like, yeah, I'm just going to keep getting these walls up. As we see the villagers coming through, breaking these down. Now, if you want to do a little bit better against these walls, the trick is to target down the wall segments with one unit each, and that will share the damage across the entire wall line, so it takes longer to rebuild those, as opposed to just killing one wall at a time. As we see the units pushing in here, these villagers are going to feel very, very silly about being up here in a little while here, but the units pushing in. Fimbulwinter going to get clicked immediately here. I'm sure the villagers pushing forward. We see the units coming in around the back here. The raiding cavalry going to be dealing with these very nicely. We see some helpful Fimbulwinter wolves coming in onto this fight in the main base. We see the wolves over here. Over here, we see the villagers getting pushed back by a handful of those Hypaspists over there. But in this fight, it looks like Shelty will be able to get himself access to this gold mine, and that's going to be absolutely huge for him. He will see if he's going to set up any sort of hill fort or anything over here. TSM players economy. He's still got plenty of food and gold in the bank, but he's definitely hurting at this point with a grand total of 47 idle villagers at this point in the game. As we see some raiding cavalry coming in onto this position as TSM player is. He's not out of it yet. He's still finding ways to cause chaos in Shelty's life in this game. This fortress is going to be huge. We're going to see walls get thrown up immediately here by TSM player. He's just like, one Petropolis and one wall. This is tough to break through here for any player, let alone a Norse player. Now, we do have access to bravery though, so bravery can be a big help. We've got access to Ballaster. There is the hill fort here, so if you see this coming up as Norse, the best way to play it is to get your own walls in and then throw your ballista behind to kill off the Petropolis, because you can kill off the Petropolis from far with a handful of ballista. As units pushing in, there is a weak gold mine over here, that can be attacked here. Is TSM player 140 or 140 population. Shelty is at 130, 9 of 160 population, as his town center is slowly going down. We see Masons coming in as this heavy Huskarl is going to sneak through here. We'll see if he's going to be able to deal with this Petropolis. He does have himself 55% pierce armor with bronze shields here, so he would be able to take that down, but unfortunately no micro there from Shelty as the Petropolis gets kept safe here for the time being. We'll see how that's going to go, as we do see some villagers attempting to get in onto this gold mine, but the buildings are already up for TSM player. He's all over the map. Look at these side builds. Look at these side builds. This guy understands this game. This is exactly how Age of Mythology is meant to be played. It's side builds all over the place. Cause chaos. Use all your resources as best as you possibly can. We see the Chiron coming out here as the fortified town center continuing to go down. We see these units just hanging out the back, going to look to take down these walls as soon as they possibly can here. We see the walls slowly getting taken down. Metropolis coming out. More longhouses coming down here for Shelty, as we see the walls getting broken down. TSM player realizing where the gold situation is and how much pressure he can put up here. He's going to have reinforcements immediately up here, but it looks like he did lose his villager. No, his villager is still doing work up here with that with those military buildings. He's now got medium infantry or heavy infantry in now for Shelty as he's trying to push through here. He has cleaned up this fortress. Cleaning up these buildings over here will allow Shelty to have access to this gold mine, as these villagers moving forward for TSM play going to try and help him. He's got him. Oh, look at those Fenris wolves in right now for Shelty. He's got himself 5. The critical mass is 6. Because they move so fast, they deal so much damage, but 5 is a really, really good number. There's the 6th one. Shelty's got plenty of favor in the bank, going to be going up to 7 soon, and Shelty is going to have so much fun with these Fenris wolves. We'll see what TSM player is going to have in store for Shelty against these Fenris wolves, as they're going to be coming in very, very shortly to get some serious damage done here in this game. As we see the Hypaspis, the side build over here, getting slowly cleaned up. As now, like, don't run with the rating. 6 speed is not enough. These Fenris wolves, they move so fast here with everything, as they're going to move straight in onto this position. We've got ourselves a whole metric shit ton of villagers that are going to get picked off here. TSM player can garrison 10 of them into this fortress, but the rest will get picked off, and the fortress will be falling as the villagers going to be making a break for it down onto this gold mine over here. I'm sure that Shelty's going to have that one get checked at some point, as we are seeing units now pushing over onto this gold mine. Absolute chaos in this game, as the Toxotes dealing with the Ulfsucks beautifully over here, as these villagers, they need to leave this position over here. As we see the Huskarls over here, they do not have bravery. This fortress needs to get taken down. We see just a handful of units coming over here. If I was Shelty, leave the Fenris wolves to take out this fortress, take the raiding cavalry over here to clean those villagers up, as just a handful of Fenris wolves coming over here to deal with these. Now, funnily enough, we said what beats Hypaspis? Well, we did say Fire Giant, I think, but Fenris Wolf Mass, they deal with these very nicely, but Shelty splitting these up, not utilizing them to the fullest of their potential here, is we're seeing now 3 Fenris Wolves coming in onto this position to kill off all of these units, keeping his villagers mining nicely here, as the units retreating back ever so slightly here, as now they're ready to start fighting yet again. Look at these bad boys. 25 damage per second, 33 damage per second when the boost starts. The way that the boost works is it's kind of like a mini Einhjar. It's kind of like an Einhjar special, but it just happens every couple of seconds, I think, if that's correct. It's 25 range, increase the pack hack and movement speed by 25% every couple of seconds, I think, as the fortress going to get taken down. But the Chiron is in, and Chiron will kill off the Fenris wolves really, really fast. So going to be retreating away from there for the time being. Meanwhile, on this location, we've got the units pushing in. Still no bravery just yet, as the units here have been dealt with. on this position. This town center still hasn't gotten grabbed here by Shelty, as he's just trying to put pressure on as best as he can. Very few resources in the bank here, as he's going to be losing all of these Fenris Wolves here to the Chiron. If he's not careful, loses one, going to be retreating away for the time being, as these villagers are getting hunted down here by the Fenris Wolves. Hunting party is on. And this is very, very tough for TSM players in full scramble mode. He's still managing to get 21 villagers currently mining gold. He's got himself a handful over here. Where's the rest of his gold? He's got a whole bunch over here. This is the big spot to be attacking now for Shelty, as the villagers here are getting dealt with. Going to be seeing these buildings going down relatively fast here as well. If Shelty at any point can get himself bravery, it does cost a lot of favor though, and he is happily spending all of his favor on Fenris Wolves at this point, as the villagers retreat back up onto this position over here. Going to be chopping down this wood line nice and close to that town center here, as we see the Fenris Wolves coming back over here, going to deal with these units yet again. The Chiron over here doing what it needs to do. We see the market is up now for TSM player, but still having to produce villagers from both of his town centers. He does have a fortress still, so he can be making his Ajax, his Achilles, and everything else. These Fenris Wolves look like they are going to be getting taken down, as the military academies on the top side of the map are going to be getting dealt with. Shelty needs to wall this off and prevent those sneaky villagers from coming back in yet again, as another fortress coming up on this position here for TSM player. He sees this town center as a weak point in Shelty's position here. Getting a fortress up on this position going to be very, very helpful for him, as the units over here for Shelty a little bit stuck out here. Stone walls has been researched by TSM player to slow down everything that Shelty is doing, as now we see Shelty moving in onto this position, going to try and take down these villagers when he can here. As he's moving in his army, but it looks like the fortress might be up in the near future here, as we aren't seeing any cheeky raids coming through by TSM players. The walls are coming in. The villagers look like they're trying to be sneaky, push through here just a little bit, but the walls might come up as the army is moving in onto this position. Ajax is out. Chiron is out. These Fenris Wolves do not function great when there are heroes in the army, so you do have to focus those heroes down as best as you can, as we see another fortress up here. You can micro this really easily though. The Fenris Wolves move so quickly here, as that's exactly where they're going to go. They basically one hit or two hit a villager here if there's enough Fenris Wolves, and in that moment there, TSM player realizes the game is lost. There's no way for him to stabilize, get a town center, and be in a good position anymore. He's kind of walled off over here as well, and there's no ways forward for him any longer. But I think Shelty, he's mining this gold back here right in plain sight, so TSM player knows where he needs to attack and realizes he can't get in there. But what an insane game here by both players. TSM player showing how obnoxious it can be to go for these side builds. Shelty showing a near perfect two-town center fast or semi-fast heroic age here, just completely dealing with what TSM player was doing. The sneaky villagers up here multiple times. Player getting caught with his pants down. Let's check this post game out just a little bit to see this civilian unit count. For the most part, it's just going up. Here we do see both players losing a few villagers, but for the most part, TSM players' villager count's fairly high here. Resource count is relatively equal, which is very, very surprising. So it does just seem to me that somehow, some way, TSM player not being able to deal with these Fenris Wolves in the end was the reason he fell behind. If he kills off all of these Fenris Wolves, maybe he stabilizes, but there's just too many at this point, and he can't afford to get out his Achilles and everything else to deal with this, as well as dealing with all the infantry. It's just too much to hang on. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.